Holy shit, he's not dead. This week, I found the answer to the age-old question, who would win in a fight, the flu or one VR boy? The answer is the fucking flu. Oh my god. I have been real fucking sick. It started out very minor, and I was just thinking, oh, I got a little bit of a sore throat, chest's a little bit sore, and then it was like full-blown flu within 24 hours. I was just feeling like crap. And every time I thought I was getting better, I wasn't. So, I'm back. I don't know what I'm going to do. I haven't played this game in a while, and I'm still kind of a little bit physically exhausted, which is fucking weird with how little I've done in the past week. But I'm back, and I'm tripping. I have no motor skills. Cool. Well, I have no idea what the plan is here. Also, Windows rebalanced my audio. Wow, it's loud. Oh my god. Alright. You guys let me know if anything is way out of whack. Things are super loud or whatever. I think it looks balanced, but I don't know. Alright. Playful, happy, cool. So, let's start out by getting these guys all fed and back in the tank. That guy I'm going to put there. So these two are going to go back in the tank. This one is also a plunderer. That's cool. Yeah, we'll roll with this one today. Still not getting exactly the colorings that I want out of these things, but hopefully we can change that. Get that in there. Oh man, okay. What to do? I got one level with my Musketeer. I don't know. Do I want to play Musketeer today? Drop that down a little bit. Yeah, I guess I could play Musketeer today. Be a little bit more on the casual side, that's for sure. Hang on, I just need to move this a little bit. Sure, there we go. So, we got all that stuff going on. Let's put that there. Cool beans. All right. As far as I know, nothing has been added into the game in the past week. Pargul. Yeah, nothing's been added into the game. And we're basically just going to have... the raid is still active. I think the hard mode raid comes out maybe this coming Friday. Level 10. What should I be doing at level 10? I know like jungle's probably the obvious one, but I kind of want to go and check the desert and see what kind of what do we got? Life well, cure wounds, poison, and renew. Yeah, if I could deal with cactars in the desert right now, that would actually be quite a bit better. I think one of the problems I'm going to face right now with Musketeer is I'm not very tough. I'm not going to be doing a ton of damage. I'm not going to be like, my survivability is quite a bit lower, just because I can't take things down that quick. It's going to require a little bit of playing around to figure out what enemies are going to work the best for me. Okay, level 9. Sweet. Also, how's it going, man? But yeah, the reason I want to go out here for cactars is they're just a lot easier for me to manage as a musketeer. They don't do poison damage, it's just straight physical damage, which is a little bit easier for me to repair through. Worms up by the res. Oh, yes. Yeah, so I think those worms in Tarthfadath Rune start at level 12, I think. But they may be doable. I think it's the main thing is I need to find something that I can kill that isn't going to like, I'm not going to constantly feel like I'm teetering on the edge of death fighting them. And as long as I'm getting a decent amount of XP out of it, it's good. At level 10, I think in the jungle, I'm just kind of a little bit limited on what I can fight that's going to give me decent XP, to the point that it becomes really difficult to farm stuff. All right. So we've got red stars. That's what we want. Let's try and take one of these guys out. That's not bad. It was a little tough, but Yeah, see, that's why I like the cactuars. They just come over and you fight them and it's all good. I'm going to change my turret to a healing turret. And hopefully that'll be enough. Yeah, it's a little bit slow, but you know what? This is okay. Like it's not, I'm not going to be blazing through these things, but I mean, at the end of the day, I'm also a musketeer, so that's all right. I'd say the only thing that sucks is like, oh, you know what? Maybe I could change out. Do I need my renew? I don't know that I do. I mean, it's good to have it for sure, but I think if I put on a weakness orb instead of, sorry, renew is not the one I was thinking of. Cure wounds is the one I wanted. Weakness and poison may be enough to yeah, and I like this because I've got different colored orbs. It's easier to tell the difference. Like renew, this is one of my problems with Musketeer is renew and cure wounds look exactly the same to me. I don't see a difference between them. Anyways, let's try this. Let's get a weakness on him, then poison. Throw down that life well. And let's see what kind of damage speed we can get on this guy. Like, cause if I can kill this guy a little bit quicker, it'll make the whole thing worthwhile. Like, did that seem quicker? I don't know. Weakness doesn't do shit. Why doesn't weakness do anything? That's dumb. Okay, what about Frost Orb? Is that going to do any damage, or is it just sort of like a slow effect? We'll try it. We'll see what's up. So I probably want to start with Frost and then poison, if that's the way I'm going. Yeah, I did get him. Fuck. I don't know. Maybe it does a little bit of damage. Doesn't really seem like a substantial amount. I just feel like the Musketeer is like so weak. Like, I mean, yeah, I get that that's like it's not meant to be a DPS class, but like, man, it is weak. I don't know. Maybe I'm better off putting on some more healing because that frost doesn't really seem to do anything. I don't really need the renew though. That's the only thing. They need a different kind of damage orb. They need like something that just feels different. Yeah, you know what? I'm feeling like this frost orb does fuck all anyways. It slows him down, but I don't think it does anything really noticeable. Like that slowdown is nothing. Oh, so this one is the overtime healing effect. I guess they do have a slight visual difference. Like this one's the healing over time, and that one is the burst of healing. I don't know. That's kind of dumb. Whoa. Oh, motherfucker. You know, maybe I should see if I can take on one of these silver boys. I mean, this guy takes me a little bit longer to deal with, but I can deal with him. And 960 XP is a little bit better. I don't know, though. I mean, that's like 1.5 times the amount of XP I'm getting for like 1.5 times the amount of time it takes. So, I don't know. Seems like it took me long enough that and I might actually die because I don't have my supercharged. Ouch. Dude did like a turbo hit. I don't know. Definitely spending a little bit more time on these guys than I'd like, but it might be okay. In terms of speed, I don't know. Like, it just doesn't seem like it's that fast or efficient to kill these silver stars. But if I can do it, I might as well, because it'll get me used to playing against these difficult level enemies. Oops, shot him with healing. I really don't like that you can't just hold in the trigger on the Musketeer. You have to kind of like you have to actually press the thing. You can't just hold it. They should do something with that to make it make sense as to why you can't just hold in the trigger. As it stands, it's a little bit silly. Gun helm of the jungle. Nice. Break that down. Oh, these are slightly better. We'll put them on. Yeah, this stuff is all pretty weak. That's got a weaker attack. I'm not going to bother with it. Cool. I find shooting yourself with orbs is a little bit, doesn't feel like you're actually hitting yourself. There should be some sort of feedback for that. Like, I think that just hit myself, but I don't really know unless I'm like kind of on top of things. Yeah, it did hit him. Shit. The super on Musketeer is an automatic recharge of all your orbs. I think that's all it does. Yeah, my survivability against these cactars is like pretty good. Like I'll occasionally dip down in health when my life well goes down, but that's about it. Pretty much everything else seems to be pretty balanced out. I might go ahead and kind of walk my way around here just so I'm on that side. Over by what's this town called? Kailofaki. That way if I die, my respawn is like right here and I'm not running into the middle of a pack of these guys just to get my my gravestone back. That's not what I wanted, that's what I wanted. That was a close one. Oh shit, that was wild. Alright, I'm gonna attack one of these little guys now just to see how quick of a difference it feels to burn through these guys now. Because it might actually be more worth my time just to kill these red stars if they don't take me that long, now that I'm kind of in the flow of things. Yeah, I don't know. They do feel just a little bit too low of XP for how much time I'm spending on them. Just compared to these silver stars. Which is kind of weird because most of the other enemies throughout the game, like, there's a pretty distinct line from enemy to enemy, like enemy level to enemy level. Oh, you son of a bitch! Kill, stealing motherfucker. Well, I'm gonna wait until that pops back up. Oh, that's annoying. Alright, that's probably good. And progress is slow on this thing. However, being able to stay alive here is like not a problem at all. If I had like a ranger with me, these things would go down so fast. And I mean, they are 2 levels. Yeah, I think these ones are 2 levels. These are level 12 ones, the silver stars. And I'm not really having a problem with them. I'd struggle on maybe like a level 13 version of a cactar, but like overall they're not bad at all. But if I had like one DPS class with me, this would be like nothing. Ooh. As I like die. Damn it. Oh shit, I shot the wrong one at my feet. And I'm gonna pay for it now. Yeah. That is like, that's really annoying. The difference between the what the fuck are they even called? Cure Wounds and Renew. So when you look at them, they do have a difference. Basically, this one with the kind of spiky ring around the outside emanating from it is a mass heal all at once. And this one is a heal over time with the kind of rings sucking in towards it. And it makes sense in the context of a design choice. But one of these should be like a red orb or something like that. Something different that stands out. Because the two of them at a glance, if you're just like, oh shit, I need to heal, and you grab one and shoot it at yourself, you're pretty likely to grab the wrong one. Like, I mean, I'm starting to get a feel for it a little bit more, but it's definitely not like a super easy thing like to identify. I mean, you can identify all these other orbs at a glance as to what they do and what they are without really thinking about it. But those two, you got to actually look and differentiate what kind of rings it has around it, which I don't like. It's kind of a, or maybe if it was like orange with like a red core or something like that, just like, or a green core even, I don't know. Like some kind of change made to it would be pretty appreciated. And I'm sure that's been on people's wish lists for some time, but I am just now kind of getting into playing this character. Like, I just about grabbed the mass heal there, but now I do want the mass heal. And I don't think that they stack either, so that the time it takes for them to come back up, I don't know if there's reason to shoot yourself more than once with it. I'm gonna say there's probably not, but who knows, right? Even if it's a minor effect, if there's some effect by stacking them, I want to know that I can take advantage of that. And because there isn't any stack symbol, or there isn't multiple versions of that symbol, I don't know what it actually does in terms of, you know, if I shoot a renew orb at myself when I've already shot a renew orb at myself, what does it actually do, kind of thing. All right, poison, turret, life well. You know, another thing that would actually be kind of cool is, like, so for example, this cure wounds instantly provides relief to allies. Blah blah blah. It's like it's the mass healing one. So it would be kind of nice if that one was like an emergency orb stuck here that just popped up at the back and didn't rotate around with the other ones. Something like that would make it a little bit more straightforward as to like what differentiates that one or something. They could do a lot of interesting things to make the orbs have positioning on the gun or something that kind of stands out. I really don't think the system of the orbs floating around the outside is the way to. It's also kind of cumbersome and obtrusive having them do that, but as long as he doesn't critical hit, I'm okay. Problem is when he does, it's like it's gonna hurt. And if they're like that last time that I died before, that was 2 critical hits in a row, and that does happen, but that's when my health drops way down. Oh my god, is that what I think it is? Taffy! Yeah, there's some design choices with the Musketeer that they don't feel like they're finished the way that the other classes do. Like the Ranger feels very finished. And this is, when I say finished, I don't mean like there's nothing else they could do to improve it or whatever. I just mean like outside of balance and whatnot, the way it feels to play the character is pretty good. But the Musketeer has like some issues with it. Like you got to pull your gun back to load your musket, which feels strange. To me, I'd like to see like a like almost like a single shot rifle, like have an eject chamber that you got to put it into that's like right here, changing the orb positioning to accommodate that, having more differentiation between the orbs to make them kind of more unique in how they feel and how they look. The gun's firing just feels really cumbersome and slow. Like I feel like I'm rapping on the trigger and nothing's happening. Like it feels unresponsive. Like, it feels like my gun should just always be firing if that's the case, and I just walk around like this and gotta find something to shoot at kind of thing. Like, that's what it feels like, because the sound is just so repetitive. Like, it has no feel to it, and there's no feel to shooting the trigger, like pulling the trigger either. Like, it feels like dead. I mean, I know there's haptics and shit, but like, I don't feel them. I'm not getting any feedback from this class, and it's kind of weak. That's not something that was like thought would be a pretty good idea. Like, in most games, VR or otherwise, haptics for the guns, if you have controller integration, obviously, haptics for the guns are a pretty important thing, and it just feels kind of like an oversight in this game that they didn't do that. Yeah, like reaching over the end of my gun to put the orb in really doesn't feel that great. I mean, you can turn your... Oh, shit. Where the hell did this fool come from anyways? Motherfucker. Yeah, I don't know, like, it's not a terrible class to play or anything, but it just, comparatively speaking, feels really unfinished compared to the other three classes. I feel like some minor changes would really like make this character kind of pop a little bit more. I think maybe part of the reason why the haptics isn't a thing is, like I said, the gun just feels monotonous in how it fires. Dun, 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 over and over and over again. And if you just had to feel that steady vibration in your hand, I think that would get kind of annoying. But that tells me that the problem isn't in the haptics, it's in your design of how your gun fires. And I don't think you should like hinder or handicap yourself or whatever against better gameplay because you have this shitty mechanic that needs fixing. I don't know. And shooting yourself with the orb does not feel good either. It's like, it's a cumbersome thing to do. It doesn't feel fluid. Not fluent. Fluid. Doesn't feel fluid the way that a lot of the other stuff in the game does. Like, I'm not really sure the best way that they could integrate that to make it work. Like, maybe have some sort of like a backfire out of the gun that's easily triggerable. Like, okay, just to take a minute, a little bit of an aside to talk about how I would design this gun if this was the system that I was going to use where you got to put orbs in. I would do two things. First of all, to make it easier to load the gun yourself, like, you know, instead of having to, you know, bring the gun back and bring your arm forward to quickly do this, Instead of doing that, make it like a sort of side loading thing, not a cartridge or anything. Just like there's like an open slide in it that you put things in. Most people are right-handed, so make it a left-handed thing, meaning that you would have an open slot that's always on this gun. I would say even right here would be fine. But so that's the first thing I'd do. Instead of loading it up at the front, have like a chamber loading, a side loading chamber. That makes the whole thing a little bit easier to load and shoot and whatever. Second thing I would do is maybe have something like you can grab this lever and pull it back and it opens up a barrel that shoots into yourself or something like that. Make some kind of physical mechanic that feels good to use and doesn't accidentally trigger. You don't accidentally like engage it when you mean to shoot somebody else or something. Make it something that's quite obvious, but can also be done quickly and easily in a panic scenario, because that's when you're going to want to heal yourself, is in a panic scenario. So that's one thing that I do. The other thing I'd do is I would take the entire concept of the floating orbs and I would throw it out the window because it's trash. I don't like it at all. It's dumb. It's in my way. It's floating around in my face. It doesn't feel good. What I would do is maybe put like a holster or some or not a holster, like a clip or something on the side of the gun or something that you grab the orbs out of. Maybe have them attached on or something like that, or maybe make it a switchable thing that you're selecting which orb you want, and there's the orbs are filling up as you shoot, so that there's not only a visual indicator of your cooldown on the orbs, but that it's also easy to select them. There's a lot of cool things that they could do with it, and this is annoying. It's I don't even want to hold my gun up because it's fucking in my face and it's annoying. Especially when you've got this life well on there. Like, that's like absurdly big and intrusive. So some of that stuff would be an easy fix. I think having the super, same thing. If you've got like these orbs filled up on the top. Oh, and that's the other thing too, is like then you wouldn't be limited to your 4 orbs. Which I get is probably a gameplay choice to limit you to 4 orbs or whatever, but I think it's dumb. It's cumbersome and stupid. Like it doesn't feel good. You're a healer or a medic class. Like you shouldn't feel like, like a soldier going into battle isn't going to be like, oh, I'm only going to take like 2 bandages with me because it's like, that's more convenient because it's not gonna like weigh me down and shit. Like you're gonna take everything you can fucking carry to an extent, talking from like a World War II perspective or whatever. I don't even know. Is a medic still a thing in like the modern military? Anyways, so I would do a lot of refinements just in the basics of how you play this class. Like it feels a little bit weak. Ah, shit. That was close there. I just had to pull the trigger. But you know what? I probably would have got it if it wasn't for the fact that I need to pull it out, load it into the end of the gun, turn, shoot down, and hope that it registers as a hit on myself. Pretty stupid class. I think as I get a little deeper into it, I'm probably going to like it a bit more. I gotta say, overall, Ranger is just leagues above Musketeer. I think Warrior is just a pure personal preference thing. I could see why somebody would like Musketeer because it is quite a bit more chill. And I mean, Mage kind of stands off on its own for me because it's such like a different sort of preference thing. I do find it sort of frustrating to play Mage, but I think I like it more than I like Musketeer just because it's kind of a little bit more active and engaged and whatever. Like, this feels a little bit like it feels more like I'm doing something grindy than the other classes where I feel like I'm developing skills. I don't feel like I'm developing any skill while doing this. I'm just jamming balls into holes and firing them off. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like jamming balls into holes, apparently, but yeah, this is just kind of a cumbersome class. Like, it doesn't need to be. They could do a lot of things to make this like a really fun class to play. I think like maybe having like a talent tree based around being a sniper, like really long range, powerful shots that like you only get one and the cooldown is like 2 minutes or something like that. Like, unless you actually successfully hit, and then the cooldown is like eliminated. Something like that would make this class really fun for a DPS. And I mean, giving it say twice the range and a scope where you don't need to physically like look where your shots are going to get the hit, where you can just like look through a scope and be like, okay, fire charge shot, and it'll be like and just take that dude out, or take him most of the way out, so that with your regular shitty shot you can finish the job, assuming you can see through all your orbs where you're shooting. Yeah. I don't know. Like, there's a lot of things I feel like they could do to make Musketeer a fun class. And I get the name itself, Musketeer. It's a musket. You got to be doing front loading, whatever. But I don't think it should be a Musketeer class. I think it should be more of a like a general ranged rifleman or whatever. And I mean, you could have the subclasses be divided in that way, like rifleman versus musketeer or something like that. But I think the entire term musketeer doesn't even make sense to this class because of what you're doing. Like, you're still shooting a gun. Like, yeah, okay, you're shooting healing stuff. And if you're talking about like lore wise, like where muskets came from in terms of lore, that information is actually available. Like, the devs talked about it probably about a month ago on the origins of it, and how this technology was brought here following the Dandelion War and stuff, which is kind of ties into some of the lore books that are floating around in the game and whatnot. But like, I don't really think that, you know, maybe lower level you should be stuck with this, and then higher level it gives you something better that behaves in a better way or something. But it's really going to turn some people off of this class just trying it once and being like, oh yeah, this sucks. And I think that's a shame, because the game needs more healers. I think what would be really fun for a healing class is like a healing beam, like a beam weapon. Just something that like makes it feel a little bit more powerful. You know, even if you're not doing like damage and you're healing, if you're healing with like a Ghostbusters gun, you're gonna feel a lot better about it. I don't know if that hit or not. I think it did. I think this little hand icon is my healing over time one, and this one's like, I don't know what the hell that is. What the hell is that icon? I thought that was like a healing of some kind, but I'm not getting healed, so I don't know why it's okay. Now it's gone. I don't know. Oh, that'd be fun. Laser tag game with full speed. Yeah, I think that's kind of one of the other things too, is like this class is like, it serves no real function outside of a group setting. Yet you have to level it, and due to the nature of the game and MMOs in general, there are plenty of times when you're going to be playing by yourself, and not being able to do DPS is terrible. Every class should be able to do DPS to an extent. I get that this class's trade-off is that it's survivability. You're not doing a lot of damage, but you don't die. But you do die. I mean, I can face these enemies with my ranger and do the same, like at the same level against them, and be way better off because I'm basically almost killing them when they get to me. And then when they get up to me, I'm taking them out, and my health might go down a bit, but I'm okay. I feel like the same thing, like you're ending up in the same spot with the Musketeer. It's just happening way slower. And I think that's like, it feels unbalanced. I'd really like a solid beam weapon that charges up harder as you hold it in. Like that'd be a really fun way to make Musketeer not suck. It's just like if I was to like hold in my trigger and it'd be like like that's like, and it'd just be holding a beam laser the whole time, like in Destiny 2, the trace rifles that they introduced in, I think they put them in Curse of Osiris or something like that. But like Cold Heart and what's the other one? I don't know. But they're like beam weapons, and in that game they behave like assault rifles. In this game, I could see them behaving like assault rifles or like healing. And I think having like a switch between just a simple, you could eliminate all of this crap just by having a simple switch between heal and kill, and then have orbs that augment that or something that like you can fire off the orbs individually by like selecting them or something. I don't know. Like there's a lot of cool things you could do that would make it feel really fun to play. Like right now, it feels really like it's a slog to play this. And I find it kind of a shame because most of the other classes are fun in their own ways. Like, sure, Mage can be a little bit frustrating, and sure, Warrior can be a little bit exhausting. But at the end of the day, they're still both fun to play if that's the kind of thing you want to do. I kind of like playing a little bit of everything, hence why I'm leveling all these different classes up. But this one is the only one that I've really felt is like, at its core, when you're doing good, it doesn't feel good. It just feels like whatever. Like Mage, I get frustrated with Mage because I can often suck at doing magic. And I'm like, oh man, I'm really not having a good time with this, yada, yada, yada. But at the end of the day, like, when I'm doing good with it, it feels fun. It's satisfying to be nailing those spells. You feel like a fucking wizard. Whereas with Musketeer, I'm like, I don't know, I don't really care. Like, even when I'm doing good with it, I'm just standing here firing at the same rate with no feedback from it while I've got this shit flying around in my face that's really annoying. It doesn't have the oomph that the other classes kind of have. See, and to me, that's like personal preference thing, right? Like, I don't know, like Ranger's kind of, when I first started playing it, I was like, oh, it's kind of exhausting. You're holding your arm up all the time and stuff. But once you get used to it, it's not too bad. Like it's and that satisfaction of hitting those long shots never diminishes, not once. I would say the place that Ranger suffers is when you're fighting a big boss it's like whatever. You're just like you're shooting forever at this thing. But that's the same thing with the tank. When you get to a big boss, it's like whatever. I'm just gonna hit provoke for fucking 10 minutes here. And with mage, it's like same kind of thing. It kind of suffers in that it can be sort of frustrating, but it's also like, you're also sort of tedious on what you're doing. It's the same thing over and over again. You're doing a motion that you just keep doing. And all of the classes kind of suffer in that sense at end game on a boss. The problem is Musketeer feels that way all the time. It's like, all right, I'll just fucking keep hitting the trigger, and I'm going to hit it a few times because it's never going to fire when I actually want it to fire. Like, it'll be the second pull every single time. And I think that's the main differentiating thing with it is like, there's no like satisfaction period with it, like all the other classes have a sort of like, when you're feeling good and you're feeling like a boss, like you're a fresh 20 and you're getting gear and you're like going in and you're killing ads, no problem. It feels good killing all the ads. And then the bosses get a little cumbersome. The Musketeer feels cumbersome all the time. And it's like, I don't know, like, in its current state that there's anything they could do to change that. They need to make like a substantial overhaul to how it's played at its core. And that's something that the other classes I don't really have an issue with. I don't really think they have an issue with. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that like I think Musketeer suffers on compared to the other classes. And fun factor is probably the number one for me. I want to get a level so I can move on to a different type of enemy. I think this one might give me my level. Oops. All right. I also find aiming with the musket is kind of like, it doesn't feel good. All right, level 11. Let's keep on moving through. We're going to find, hopefully maybe over by the Oasis, we can find something, some cactars that are kind of in that range. If not there, man, I don't know if I can get through these guys. Not without triggering them. Yeah. Jesus. That's annoying. I think that's another thing too, is like the Musketeer can't really take a lot. Like they have this, they take the same damage that like a Ranger does, but they don't, like, I don't know, like you can heal yourself, I guess, while you're retreating and stuff, but it doesn't feel good because of how the guns are designed. You're like trying to sprint while like, or like trying to teleport out. Well, like, here, let me show you. So let's say there's something chasing me and I need to grab my instant heal orb. All right, 1 second. Whoa, sorry. Phone calls for days. What I was saying though is with the healing yourself, the mechanic of doing it requires teleporting, and while you're teleporting, grabbing a specific orb, putting it in, and shooting yourself. And like it feels really cumbersome. Like it doesn't feel the way it should to heal yourself. I mean, as a healer, healing yourself should be the easiest thing you can do, and it's not, because you're always doing it while you're running away from something. And yeah, I'm literally a healer. I died to that because of that stupid cumbersome mechanic. And I mean that kind of ties into like part of what I was saying about how this class just, it doesn't feel like it's quite there. Like it's like they were like, we need a healer. How do we heal? How do we have a healer? Let's have them shoot their healing at people, okay? And then that was it. They were like done. So there's definitely I think there's definitely a lot of stuff they could do to improve it and make it feel a little bit better to be a healer. I think that like excuse me. I think that the biggest thing they could do is just dealing with the way orbs are handled. Maybe I'll try taking one of these guys down. I'm going to start with a red worm. Ah, shit. Wow. These things are not fun. Is he invisible the right? What the hell? So this worm is invisible right now. All right. That's some fucking buggy shit. All right. Let's try this again. I think I can handle one of these silver star worms. If I could ever hit one. Like I can't. I hate the fact that it's difficult to just see what you're shooting at with the Musketeer. That's probably the worst thing about this class. I fucking hate worms, man. Yeah, so killing these worms is not a problem at all. It's just not losing your fucking mind while you kill them. Yeah, 1,000 XP and it wasn't a problem at all. I don't really want to do those, so let's move along through here and maybe try and do the cactars at the back and see. Like, I basically, leveling up on a character like this, I just need to basically try and find which different enemies are, most viable to fight in terms of how long it takes to kill and whatever. And honestly, like, I just don't do enough damage to the worms. Like, yeah, they don't do damage to me either. It's fine, I'll survive, but like, it's really fucking tedious to stand there, shoot the worm a couple times, watch him disappear, and rinse and repeat. Whereas with the other classes, at least there's kind of something to your mechanics of fighting that, like, you can still find some satisfaction within it, even though it's not the most ideal activity. All right, let's try one of these cactars. Now, he's a silver star, but I don't know if he's like a big boy silver star, or like he might not be like a level. Yeah, he's real strong. Yeah, so this is partly why I hate the star system too. Am I stuck in combat? Oh my god. I just spawned. I shouldn't be stuck in combat. Unless I'm over encumbered, am I? No. Alright. Go to graveyard again. No, that's not gonna do it. Let's log out. Yeah, but with the star system, it's kind of like, okay, like he could be like a level 13 or a level 20. I think that's like one of the most ridiculous things. I understand why they did it. It makes things a lot easier, but just give them a level and give me the choice of whether I want simpleton mode or like I've been playing RPGs my whole life mode. And I wanted to get started like 2 hours earlier today, but Windows updates or something really messed up my VR computer. I had to do a whole bunch of stuff just to make it behave. And in OBS, it wasn't showing this camera, and then it wasn't showing that camera, and it was like constant uphill battle. All right. Ugh, feeling weak today. Last week I had some of the worst body aches I've had since I had growing pains as a teenager. It was pretty brutal. Oh crap. This might actually be the answer. Take them down reasonably quick with the DPS turret. That's kind of interesting. You just out here leveling up? Fuck me, I guess. Shit. Well, now that I've got a system in place, this isn't going to be too bad. I don't like that. I don't like that enemy to enemy or whatever. Like your playstyle changes that much just because you've changed which enemy you're fighting. Like, and it's not even because of like their damage or anything. It's because this guy's so stupid, dives underground, and I can just keep attacking him and take him out before. I don't know. The experience isn't consistent. I gotta find where the rest of these silver stars are from me. Oh, for fuck's sakes. This is a slow class to grind out. Oh boy. Wrong one. Ugh. Again. Grabbing the wrong orb was all it took. What do I do early game? Early on in the game, there's a whole bunch of quests. This is my fourth and final character that I'm leveling to max level, so I don't have any quests left to do. So I'm basically just grinding stuff. But early on in the game, you'll have lots of stuff you can do. I can actually kind of walk you through that. I need a break from shooting arms for a little bit. So basically what I just did is I grabbed my house teleport, brings me back home. This is inside my house in game. Okay, you're level 4. Okay, so basically when you come down, Death the dog. When you come down the steps and into high step here, I'll walk you through the kind of like your first steps in the game as to what you would do for enemies and stuff like that. So coming down those steps from Guardian Bart and going into high step and whatever, obviously Sen's Farm here is the first area that you would do some combat in. By the way, if you didn't know that, you can grab your compass, flip it over, and that's your journal. I don't know when you get the map in game, when you get the maps, but we are in high step, right about there, more or less, somewhere in this area here. So this entire loop around the outside lower area, that's going to be sort of like your next step of enemies after these guys. So you'd fight these red tails out here, and that exit and the exit over in the other side of high step are both going to be exits that would link up to the same thing. Like you can follow this path around. From there, so I guess just before I get a little carried away from here, you're going to have a couple different types of enemies down here. You're still going to have red tails, but they'll be a higher level. So you always want to keep an eye on the stars above their head. If you flip to the back of your book here, it'll tell you this here. This is also on the billboard things above. So the easiest guys you're going to fight will be green stars. Basically what it means is that they are 2 levels or more below you. So when I walk up to these enemies over here, like there's a sprite floating right there, he's showing as a green level even though I'm level 11. And then so pink is your level, and obviously you have your plus or minus 2 levels or more. The whole thing is based around 2 or more. So like 1 level above you, for example, is going to be red, and 2 levels could be silver star. Early on, you're not going to want to take too much of a risk on that. You could possibly do red stars, but you're more likely going to want to stick. You're going to want to stick to the yellow and pink starred ones. So from high step, going that direction, you're going to follow this path along here. And I'll show you where we're at on the map in a second, but there's a path that follows along here. And up here is going to be sort of like your next level of enemies up from those guys. So you get these wargs here are going to be a little bit more difficult than the stuff along there. So this would be sort of the next place you'd go in terms of like enemy difficulty. And then we're coming up here. This is called Narrow Orchard. So when we get over here, I'll just show you the map. So we came out this door and along here. Now we're like sitting right here. This right here just ties onto that other map. I know it's kind of difficult to picture sometimes, but this map isn't supposed to be here. It's a bug that they need to fix. But so we came out, we walked down along here, and now we are walking along here. This is Narrow Orchard here. So with that cliff to your right, all along in here is kind of going to be your next area. So you'll pick up some odds and ends quests. I don't know if you pick them up in the Twins, but like Wenderwood, you're going to have these different places that you can pick up these different quests at. And if you're curious what you need to do, you go to the very first page in your book. And as you flip through, these first couple sets of pages are going to tell you what kind of quests you've got. As you can see, I've only got a couple. This one's a bugged out quest, and this one's just a ridiculously difficult quest. So anyways, you'd follow these along, and that's kind of where your enemy difficulty is going to lie. So probably for your first, like, up to maybe level 6, level 8, somewhere in there, you're going to be along that side over there. There are different enemy difficulties kind of scattered throughout the world and whatever, so that isn't the only places you can go. You've got the other side of High Step you can obviously go to. So we came out this side of High Step. You can also either walk around this way or come out the other door in High Step, and you've got this part over here. But your quests are what's really going to guide you. Yeah, no problem, Liz. The rune mage totems and stuff for spells are kind of scattered randomly about the world. There's one actually back here that is not a practical use one, but it is one. You come out of High Step and just walk to this back corner over here, and the fireworks totem is over here. So it is right behind that rock over there. But I mean, there's a whole bunch that are scattered out throughout around the world. I could tell you where a couple are off the top of my head, but I mean, most of them you're going to end up like just kind of finding them as you journey through places. Make sure you walk around places. And whenever you find one of these spell totems, I don't know if they say it in the tutorial, they never originally did. You take your book out and you hold it up kind of into the totem and stuff. And mine won't do it because it's already in there, but it'll like kind of say like spell added to journal or something like that. So looking at the kind of world map, I can show you where some of them that I know off the top of my head where they are. Towards into the zoological gardens, there's one on the left side. I believe there is one right here up in the upper area of Green Lady Forest, or lower area of Green Lady Forest, I should say. There's one back here when you pass Lakewood Inn. Instead of going to the desert, you hang a left and go to the very back over here. There's one there. Where else is there one? Let's have a look at the other maps here. There's one back behind here in the Twins. I think that one's just a teleport shrine, but there's also one here behind the windmill. And that one is a spell one. I know that. I don't remember if there's one on top of Mott's Keep. There's a teleport in Order 4 to teleport in Corner Path. Don't think there's any in Guild City. In the jungle, there's one on the Snake Battlefield. There's a teleport in Mountain Crest, teleport right here. There may be one up on top of here. I don't think so, though. I think that's a hidden thing. There's a teleport here. The desert's got teleports. Where else are the spell shrines, though? Not too sure. Did I mention the one by the zoological gardens? There's one over there. I mean, you're going to find them sort of naturally as you progress, but one thing you need to keep in mind is that you don't need to find those totems to learn the spells. The spells are just a matter of practicing and learning how to do it. Like, let me get my magic stuff on. It's got first strike on it. So your magic stuff, like, for example, that fireworks one, I'm not great at this one because I don't do it that often. That's going to be probably too short and too wide. But, you know, like I could sit there and I could struggle with doing this one, but it's basically like, it's just taking the time to practice and learn them, whether or not you've found the spell anyways, because what's drawn in the book isn't always exactly what it's supposed to be and what it will interpret as. Some of them do work and some of them don't. It's more or less learning what things matter. Like, so for example, like That's Frost 2, and it's not perfect, but most of the time I can cast that one pretty consistent. So there's your Frost 2. So for that one, like the things you got to consider is like the length of this line versus this line, how far down into this line sits, the sort of angle between them, like that kind of stuff. And then going further up the chain, things like Frost 3, learning like how to balance out, like you need this line to be the same length as this line. You need the angle to kind of come down sort of like that ish. Like I don't think this one will work. And like this is a tricky one to learn, but yeah, so that's like your Frost 3, and like same with your Fireball, like learning how to draw the actual shape. But the important part is learning how to do it quickly and efficiently. And I'm not a great mage, but I know the spells, right? Okay, so honestly, most people, Liz, would say that those two, like the level 1 spells, are actually harder than the level 2s. So like this is Fireball level 1. And I find it harder to draw that one than I do to... Like you can see how they can be kind of flexible. And if you're doing it as a single cast, like a single line, like I am there, try this trick with the H. Go wider than you think you do. That's more what it needs to look like than this. Whereas if you look at the book, what it actually says is to do it like almost like it looks almost skinnier. And as for the M, I am not good at this one at all. The only thing I can tell you is try to do it small. You try to draw really small, the M seems to register a little bit more often. It's all about trying to find like what the game will interpret for you and what feels comfortable. But the like right there, that M is much more difficult to draw than this. So you're better off using Frost 2. The spell totem that you find in the Green Lady Forest is for Ice Lance, I believe. And a good early series of spells to learn is to do Frost 2. Oh, Frost 2. Followed by Ice Lance. I can never get it. And Ice Lance does increase damage to targets that are frozen. So that combo has always kind of been like a good 1-2 punch, so to speak. But whatever you're good at casting, that's what you want to cast. Don't get caught up in people being like, oh, you got to cast Affliction or whatever. Like, Affliction's a good spell to cast, don't get me wrong. And Affliction 2 is even better. This is obviously the slow, actual way to draw it, but there's plenty of shortcuts out there that look kind of like this. I'm not great at doing them. I don't do shortcuts often, so for me it's like, it's just not something I'm very talented at. Yeah. So like, I kind of got sidetracked there, but the most people find that the level 2 spells are actually easier to cast than the level 1s, with the exception of stuff like Affliction. But so that's the steps down from high step. I'll show you where the Ice Lance totem is, because there's actually 2 totems there. And I'll give you a little tip for when you do find these totems to figure out whether or not they're a teleport shrine or a spell shrine. So if you come up here right at the top of those stairs, you got the fishing lodge there, the stairs into high step there. This one right here is a teleport shrine. And the reason you know it's a teleport shrine is because there's two symbols on it. Obviously, when you come up to it, you can see this little dialogue that lets you teleport wherever you want. So when you look at it, it's kind of difficult because when they redesign these shrines, they don't look exactly the same as they used to. I think what their intent is the side that has the little thing on it is going to be the side that's the first icon. So in this one, the diamond is your first symbol, and the sideways hourglass is your second symbol. So if I wanted to teleport here, if I wanted to teleport here, this is the actual symbol you need to draw for the teleport. That starts the first series of the teleport. Then I would draw that diamond. And then I would draw that sideways hourglass like that. I hit the thumb to do it, but I'm not going to because it'll use up my Rune Mage reagent. You can practice doing these and not triggering the third part, and it'll kind of help you learn some of the teleport stuff. The teleport for high step, for example, is right by the stag. The other thing, if you're having a lot of problems getting that first symbol, you shouldn't. It's honestly really easy. What I think of is like the 9-inch nails N, like the backwards N, then just do a plus sign. And I always make the horizontal portion longer. I draw this one big all the time, but I never have problems casting this. And that's the way it's actually supposed to be drawn. A lot of people will do this one by sort of cheesing it by making a line back and forth, which for some people works quite well. For others, like me, it has never worked that well. But you can do it, and it will work sometimes. It's just sort of a crapshoot. I honestly say don't bother wasting your time doing that. Learn how to actually draw it. It's quick. Even if you do a sloppy version like that, it still works. And then that's your teleport, this blue one. If while you're practicing it, you accidentally see this. Oops. This is the resurrection one. So that's the first symbol of resurrection. Here's the second. And the third looks like the affliction symbol with an A and an O with a line through it on the top right. So I would trigger that and it would do a resurrection. So if you happen to see that yellow one while you're trying to do a teleport, just wait for it to cool down and restart and you'll be good to go. Over here though, you'll find one of the quest items is actually up here. I'll show you where it is because it's one of the first quests you'll do. Probably around level 5 is when you would be doing this quest, I think. It's part of Chef Lethrow's quest chain. And it involves picking up a red truffle from over here. Here is this is a symbol of the order. This is another quest thing. When you come up here, pick that one up as well. But back behind here, at the very back corner, is a spell shrine. So this is one of the ones that you would go up to and you put your book into. I put my book into all of them the first time you find them just to be sure, but you can tell this one isn't a teleport shrine because it doesn't have the wings for one, and there's only one symbol on it. So that right there is your ice lance. And I mean, when I draw it, it looks like this. So you can see that according to this, it's sort of like a vertical line like that, which you will find does not work that often. It sometimes does, but if you try just going a little shallower, no problems. Okay, cool. Yeah, so if you come up here, that's where you'll find that quest, and I think it'll also give you a thing for the next quest. I can't remember if it's when you talk to the Archbishop or whatever his name is, Roma. I can't remember if you get one from him that involves that token, or if it's from Guardian Bart or whatever, but there are definitely a few active quests around here. I'd say the best thing you can do is just continue walking around to areas that you feel comfortable fighting the enemies in. Up here, they may be a little bit too difficult for you, but you can kind of evade some of them. What's that? I think this is one of those red truffles, if I'm not mistaken. No, that's a rotospore. Never mind. The red truffles just must not show up for me because I've completed that quest. Yeah, I can do that. So we're at the top of the steps here, and come on. We're at the top of the steps here. There's the fishing lodge, and that's high step over there. So looking at this like this, we're standing here and we're looking out that direction. So we have the fishing lodge to our right down here, and we have high step back that way, facing down that way right now. And then, yeah, so if you come out of high step, see the fishing lodge, go left and up these stairs, you'll see that that's where this forest is. And the ice lance totem is right up here. This is where that camp is, and your quest and the ice lance and all that stuff is. The teleport shrine's about right there. Yeah, no problem. Is there anything else, like game-wise, that you're kind of still a little bit baffled by, or don't really know where to go, what to do? I'd recommend coming around and talking to all these, like, all the people you see that have, like, he doesn't have it right now, but if you get an exclamation mark above their head or whatever, make sure you come and talk to them. And also, you'll find these books laying around occasionally. To open up lore books, you pick them up, point it towards your face, and let go, and it'll open up. And these books that you find laying around are just lore books. This one is just like, it's a fun little like book that the fisherman is obviously reading. It doesn't have anything to do story-wise or anything. So they're just kind of things that help give you a little bit of an idea of characters and stuff. Note that guy that gave you a dragon was just being a nice guy giving you a dragon. What you can do with the dragons is they'll come up here and oh, I still have my find group posting up. You'll have your dragon and it'll be sitting in your inventory like this, and you'll be like, oh, I've got this dragon, now what the hell do I do with it? That dragon goes in this slot here. Oh, click it first, and it'll show up like this. Now you'll see that. Let me go grab a different dragon from my house, because this one has a bonus. I assume the one that you have doesn't have a bonus on it, but if it does have something like Plunderer or Jumper or whatever, those have different effects. It's more likely than not that it doesn't, and it's just a sort of standard dragon. But basically, those dragons are a kind of just a fun little extra part of the game. Ugh, that was loud. They're just like a fun little extra part of the game. So you have this tank inside your house here, and what the dragons do is they breed. There's quite a bit to the dragon breeding, but I mean, let's just grab one of these ones. It's a regular dragon. When you equip your dragon, it's going to be, this is a big purple one that looks pink in the house. It's going to have these things: primary, secondary, spot, size, and mood. Now, as they're like roaming around and stuff, they're going to get hungry. You need to feed them with pet treats. These pet treats cost about 50 dram each. And dram can be had in a few different ways. I'll get to that in a second. But so what you do is these dragons, what you want to do is make sure that they are playful. And if you have 2 of them, you can put them in here, and 12 hours later, they will make a dragon baby with random, well, not random, but a set of stats based on what its dominant and recessive colorings and its size are. So That's basically how the dragon system works. If your dragon doesn't have an effect, like for example, mine has Plunderer, which means it runs and it grabs loot from things that I killed. If it doesn't have one of those bonuses, it's just a cosmetic thing just for fun. In terms of loot, need that. I don't have any gear I can break down, but like if you grab, say, a piece of gear or whatever that you're not using that isn't equipped and you break it down, feathers won't do it, but you'll get these shards out of it. You can then take these shards, come out of your house. Whoa. So if you come out of your house and you walk over here to the apprentice smith, you can then sell those shards. You can't sell gear directly, but you can sell the shards that you've broken down here with. So basically what you do is you just take the shard, pop it into there, and you sell it. Pop those in, sell them. So 5 is worth 150. So you'll get 20 dram for breaking down kind of run-of-the-mill gear. You can also take things you find, harvestables, sell those. Those are worth some money. 1 rotospore is worth 2 dram, so they're not worth a whole lot. You can't sell dyes. So as far as pet treats and stuff go, I wouldn't be concerned about it right now. I think you got bigger fish to fry early on in the game. But you can come to, one of these stalls, whichever one, and you can buy them for 60, or you can go over into the zoological gardens and you can buy some basic dragons there, as well as pet treats for 50 each. There's 60 each here and 50 each there, just because people give you the convenience of buying them here, so they make a little bit of a profit off of it. And that's the way you're going to want to make dram. Like, you're going to want to just kill things, break down the gear into shards, and sell those shards, and you'll start building up some money from that. Over here's for potion making. You would put your ingredients into the chest here. They show up on the table, and you'd then do your potion making. You probably made a healing potion or something, Tinny's Brew, for your wand quest. Same sort of concept here with the fishing lures. You just take them, put them on the hook, and hit OK. In the case of something like this, like this one right here, an eyeball and a tongue, you can use that for catching sunfish, and it'll pop up like that. So then you just take your fishing rod, equip it, and put your lure. And then when you pull out your fishing rod, you've got that, and you're good to go. But yeah, so the a lot of the stuff is kind of straightforward on how it works. Some of it's not so much. When you come down to the basement, this chest and this table are for artificing. Don't worry about that until late game when you're level 20. That's when you do it. If you make a potion, you can put it in this chest. It'll show up on the shelf here, and it will age that potion. You can overage potions, so you have to kind of like check it every day. But you could put it like, say, a healing potion on there, let it age for a day or two, however long it takes, and you'll get an aged healing potion, which then has a little bit more power to it. It's a little bit better of a potion. If you get a new character, does it share loot or no? No, it won't. You won't share loot between characters, but there is a difference between characters and subclasses. So I'm a level 20 rune mage, a level 20 warrior, a level 11 musketeer, and a level 20 ranger. Those are all on the same character, though. So like a separate character is going to be fully like when you're logged out at your character select here. So multiple characters aren't gonna share the same loot. They're kind of viewed as like completely separate entities, and you would do that for if you wanted to replay the story quests or something like that. So the main thing is if you look up, you can see your level, And then also in your inventory, you can see level 20 Rune Mage. If I equip a musket, that makes me a level 11 Musketeer. If I equip a fishing rod, I'm a level 8 Fisherman. You know, so it's like it's quite easy to change between your classes. And like if I equip Musketeer, I can put my orbs down here. If I equip Fisherman, I can put my fishing lure. If I equip Sword, I can equip a different shield down there. It'll often carry over what was on there before, but you know, I can equip my shield there and do that. That fishing lure there. And then, you know, with Ranger, you've got your different arrows you can equip. So it'd be like those. So there's quite a bit to it that that as you play it, you'll kind of get a little bit more comfortable with how switching between the stuff works. Let's move that with our Musketeer stuff. Alrighty. And as for chests, you just kind of reach out. You don't need to actually be touching it, and hold in your grip, and you can lift up the chest and put stuff in there. You have tabs up at the top. You may not be aware of this, but every 5 levels as a character, you can unlock some talents. At the beginning, it'll be Lend a Hand or Static Charge. I highly recommend Static Charge. At endgame, neither of them are really worthwhile, but Lend a Hand, it feels really weird to use, and I don't like it, but I do know someone who uses it, so it may be what you want to do. But every 5 levels, basically, you get to choose between left side or right side, and they kind of have, like, depending on your class, they have different things that they're sort of associated with. If you have a look at my talents video, you can look it up on YouTube. I think it's off of Twitch now just because of the time. But if you look it up on YouTube under the same name, Aeon Black 6, I go into quite a bit more detail on how the talent system works and what the stats are for it and why you might want to choose one or the other. But at the end of the day, it's personal preference most of the time. So there's not too much to it that you need to consider. And yeah, as for like progression in the game, like just keep on following your quest lines. Make sure you're always having a look around town to see, you know, who's got a question mark or a quest for you. Keep an eye on your book and following these, and just try to, you know, roam around and get a feel for the world so that you can visualize where you are in the world just by looking at the map. That kind of stuff is really important. I don't know why that didn't go in my bag. But yeah, a big thing too, they don't mention this stuff. If you hit the menu button here, this icon here, this is your party. That's going to be who's currently in your party. You have fellowship, friends, activities is just going to be PvP arena. Nobody really uses the PvP arena, which I think is a shame. But you join the queue that way, and if you click here, it'll tell you who's in the queue. Just me right now. But what I wanted to talk about are 2 things. One, this Find Group button. Clicking this is going to show you other people who have group listings up, and you can add your own listing. So let's say you're doing questing, and you're in High Step or Wenderwood or whatever. You could go like that and say, okay, if I'm a ranger, I'm DPS, I would like a tank and a healer. Post your listing, and away you go. And then what happens is, while your listing is active, that's what that pop-up I had was. You can click here, and on this post, it'll just say, if the person wants to join your post, it'll say LFG post, and it'll say what their level is. So let's say you're level 5. If you get a message that says like level 5 warrior and you're a ranger, sounds good. You invite them to your party, and away you go. Then up here, it's not going to show anything right now because I'm in my house, but when you go outside, this is how you would add people who are just sort of like walking around, and you're like, hey, how's it going? Do you want to help me out with this thing? You can come out here, and You know, right here is airbag it hanging out. I can go up and click on this, airbag it, and I can either add a friend or invite to party, or this is also how you'd mute somebody if they're, you know, being super noisy and loud or offensive or whatever. So yeah, those two things are pretty damn handy going ahead in the game. And a couple other things that aren't really mentioned, these two bug fixers under the general tab. To graveyard will always take you to the graveyard. In a dungeon, it'll take you to the entrance of the dungeon. And if you're ever finding that you're stuck in combat, that you're not fighting anything, but you can't seem to move quick or anything, you can hit stuck combat here. You can also log out and log back in, and that fixes it. Another thing I'd mention is in the audio tab. This right here is super important. A lot of the people in the game will use Discord, and so their in-game voice chat will actually be disabled, but they can still hear people. They won't, when they're talking, you won't hear them. It's what I'm doing right now, why these guys can't hear me. You can also turn down the voice like this. This is how you would deal with just muting people in general. You can do this, holding in both buttons, and you'll see that little thing. That makes everybody's hands disappear, and it mutes everybody for 10 minutes. So as I'm walking around here, I've got everybody muted. I can't see anybody's hands, and I can't hear anybody, and it'll last 10 minutes. This is a good thing to have if you're like, man, I just want to play by myself, and I don't want to deal with all these people freaking me out or whatever. All of these stalls that you see are player-run stalls. So the things that are in there, they put up for sale, they get the money, etc. But yeah. Oh, and then up here is the airship dock. The airship makes a loop around the entire map, and it is not an efficient way to travel, but if you're not really sure how to get somewhere and you want to just kind of see the world, this is a good way to do it. You'll get a quest at a certain point that's going to tell you to go to Guild City. Basically, the airship comes along this way, and I will show you on the map, actually. The airship is going to come along here. Boop, 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 boop. Hit high step. Then it's going to fly over Sen's farm, down here, through here and around, end up at Guild City. And I can't remember exactly where it goes, like somewhere along here. But the airship dock in Guild City's here. Then it's going to go along this way into the jungle. It's going to come along up and end up here. Basically, it loops through over down below and then comes up along here. Then from here, it's going to go over across here up to... I know this is confusing. Up to over by Lakewood Inn over here. Then from Lakewood Inn, it's going to go over to... I wish the maps were in order still. It's going to come over through here to Tarthfadath Rune, and then it's going to loop around from the desert all the way back over to High Step. Now you'll get a quest at some point to hop on the airship and go to Guild City. After that, the airship is free. It'll give you a ticket to get on the airship, but after that, you won't need one. And it's basically just a little quest thing to help you understand how the airship works. But it's very straightforward to use, and you can just get on it and go for a ride all the way around if you want. It's not fast, but there it is. The dock will extend out, and then you'll have like a doorway just like this, which you can teleport through. And it'll get you onto the airship. You stand there, and it takes you for a little cruise. Yeah, no problem. I'm always down to help people out if they're, just getting into the game, because this game does kind of throw you into the deep end and doesn't really tell you everything. I would recommend you look at every single one of these billboards and read through it. It will help you make sense of a lot of things in the game. Even just things like the player house. Inside the player house, there's a little bit more. Like this thing says, it talks about the teleportation device. That will originally show up in your inventory like this. What you need to do is click on it and put it onto your belt, and it will show up down here. This is what they call the cookie. If you hold it for 5 seconds, it will teleport you inside your house. But yeah, I highly recommend you take the time, if you haven't already, to go through and read all the billboards, little things along here. They're going to tell you what things mean. You know, for example, you're going to be looking for these right here, these gold stars. That's what you want to find, and these gold exclamation marks. Finding those is going to mean new quests, and if you've completed quests, obviously those. Talking about the safety features here, I showed you how to do the player muting. The personal bubble is muting everyone, like I said. Code of conduct is pretty standard stuff. Don't be a douchebag. Looting is gonna be pretty standard for you at this point. All this stuff's pretty standard. I recommend you really take the time, depending on what class you're playing. What class did you say you're playing? Mage? With Mage, it's a little bit different because there isn't really specific stuff you need to follow. It's just practicing learning the spells. There will be times when you want to log on and not actually go out and kill things, just stand there and do this until you feel comfortable casting. You know, like it's sometimes that's what learning, because in this game you actually have to learn it. You have to learn the muscle memory of it. And what I'd recommend is not trying to look down at what you're drawing and get it perfect. Find something that feels right and just do it. And you'll find that your results are probably going to be better. Practice on these training dummies, kind of get a feel for what things look like. Like, for example, this is Affliction. See, okay, that's what Affliction looks like. What happens if I cast it again? If I can cast it again. Oh my god. Wow. This one. Okay, so you can see it has 2 stacks. Affliction can stack up 3 times. So something like Affliction can be pretty cool. So doing that kind of stuff, like practicing, is pretty important. In terms of warriors, if you were to play the warrior class, learning the different combos. So left, up, left, right. You see how we had that red splash? That's a DPS. Left, right, up. At purple, that's provoke. You know, just learning these different attacks is going to help you out a lot. When it comes to like ranger, learning how to play the different styles, because in your talent tree, like I mentioned, you have different things. I'm a precision ranger. There's rapid fire rangers as well. So when I'm shooting, you see that blue bar charging up? I want to shoot when that blue bar is full. And on top of that, this thing right here is going to tell me my my charged shot. That's charged now. So for me to do damage, that's how I want to do things. I want to let that bar fill up, do a charged shot. On top of that, I got my arrows, my special arrows. This one's a poison one. So now I've got poison stacked on that guy. And that was a precision or piercing arrow, which does a little bit more damage. So all of these classes kind of have their own things that you gotta sort of learn to play with and use. And don't be afraid to go out and die fighting things. Like, it's better to do that early on and learn how to play your character, learn what all these different things do, and get a good feel for it. You might have seen these around. They're harvestables. They used to have it so when you teleported, you could see the little frame around them, but you can't anymore. Early on, these right here, Queen's Ears, are one of the harvestables. The Rhodospore, the little purple mushroom thing sticking out of the ground, is another one of the harvestables. There's a lot of harvestables in the game. I'll show you some in my chest, but it's important early on to pick those things up, even if you don't know what they are or what they're for, because you will, as the game progresses, get recipes and things like that. Like so, for example, let me just come over to this chest and show you. So like here's a bunch of different harvestables that I've picked up. Here's different fish that I've caught. And you can then take those things. Put this in here. You can then take those things, put them in here, and start making potions with it. And those potions can be pretty potent and pretty valuable. So in here we got like healing potions, luck potions, speed potions, giant potions, empowered strikes, Ithacac, fish scent attractor, vitality, intellect, and strength boost potions, chameleon potions, body lantern, runic sight, concentrated healing, ability reset, pack mule, masked scent, concentrated healing, 5 times the power strike. You know what? You kind of getting the idea. There's a lot of stuff in the game. And on top of that, you can then age those potions. Some of the potions change into different things when you age them. So there's quite a bit of depth to all these different elements of the game. And same with dragons. There's different things you can learn to sort of exploit with them, and not really exploit, but like to learn the full mechanics of each part of it, because there is quite a bit of depth to this game. And try not to get overwhelmed by it. Just take your time and learn it. It's fun. You don't have to do it all right away. You can just focus on combat and get to this stuff end game, and that'll be like good. But don't be afraid to experiment. Don't be afraid to try stuff. If you're like, man, I want to make a potion, but I don't have any recipes, let me know. I can show you where some recipes are. And there's hidden recipes in the game. There's things that are like you won't unlock until you find them later on in the game. Like there's all kinds of stuff like that as you spend a little bit more time with it, you'll get a little bit more appreciation of how deep the game goes. And dragons, when you equip them, I guess I never mentioned, you can touch them. And I think I showed you with feeding it. You just make sure you put the dragon treats on your belt slot, grab them and throw them at them. All right, I am out of here for the day. And if you have any other questions in the future, I'm on just about every day, and I'll be more than happy to answer them. And same thing on my YouTube channel. If you got any questions, don't be afraid to post them on there, and I will be happy to help you out. Cool. Thank you, Liz. Alrighty. You guys have a good one. I will talk to y'all later.